don't know. I never thought I'd get this far.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I didn't think I would actually ever get this far either. But hello, everybody. Welcome to an episode of Good Old Wrasslin. This is episode 9, the WrestleMania special, because it's a WrestleMania themed episode. We're going to talk lots of things about WrestleMania and WrestleMania week, and we're going to get a little bit into Gargano and Champa, that great feud. It's going to be a great episode. Sorry for the delay. I had a little bit of a break this weekend, so I decided to go on a bit of a vacation, but now I am back, and I will be streaming. And again, I'm basically streaming every day. So, just look out for them when you can. And we also have Shadow Hunter in the house. What's going on, Shadow?
I'm doing brilliant. How's it going?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little tired, but hey, it happens.
Yeah, life goes on.
Indeed. But before we begin, Shadow, where can they find you at?
Well, I have a very unknown YouTube channel called Shadow Hunt. You can find me there. I do a whole assortment of things. I do wrestling, universe mode with Oscillator. That's been going well. Do stuff about Marvel, Star Wars. Do stuff about DC now as well, with Batman Arkham Knight. Boxing every now and then. But yeah, it's about as random as life can get. But you can also find me on Twitter at ShadowHunt419. I'll post every time I upload or when I'm streaming. I also write some random stuff on there. So if you're into that, join me on there, follow me. Yeah, thanks for having me, Oscillator, for tonight.
No problem. You're an awesome guest, and it's always fun to talk wrestling. I'm not going to get into my stuff yet because it takes too long. So we're just going to get right into it because we have a lot to talk about, including, since this is a WrestleMania pay-per-view, we obviously got to talk about the pay-per-view before WrestleMania, and that was Fastlane. Remember that show?
No
one does. Okay, so Fastlane happened a few weeks ago, and I don't remember anything from that show besides the main event and a couple other things. But other than that, I either genuinely don't care or I did not like it.
Yep.
It is definitely the weakest pay-per-view so far, but then again, it's Fastlane, so what would you expect?
Yeah.
Shadow, what did you think of it?
The only thing I liked about it is probably the Fiend returning in his new cool attire. Besides that, nothing much happened, did it?
It really didn't, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, that's what I don't feel like Fastlane has a purpose. I feel like they need to either move the pay-per-view or get rid of it entirely.
And it also doesn't help that freaking, they kind of blew their load a little bit with Bobby Lashley beating Miz. That would have been great for Fastlane.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things they could have done with this show, but they ended up blowing their load, which we'll get into when we get into the matches themselves, even though we don't really remember them. It'll be better to just talk about, just everything that kind of went down. So the pre-show match was for the United States Championship, Riddle versus Mustafa Ali with Retribution. I don't remember this match because it's a pre-show match. The only thing I remember is the finish and what happened afterwards, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Matt Riddle hit the bro Derek off the second rope and beat Ali, which just buried Retribution even further. And actually, the good news is Retribution is no more.
Yay!
Finally, Retribution is gone, and that was probably one of the best things on the show because no one cares about Retribution. Let's be honest with ourselves.
It was so wasted, man.
It was.
And the fact that they got drafted to Raw as well ruined it because they had to make them an actual, stable instead of just sort of hating them.
Oh, greetings, Jim Cornette.
This is a surprise.
It's awesome. We got Jim Cornette here. How's it going, sir? Yeah, as far as Riddle goes, I mean, hey, at least they're keeping the belt on him for a bit, even though I don't really know why. And Ali was just a bad, and Retribution was bad, and
Yeah.
they kind of killed two birds with one stone, so...
Well, I won't really call Retribution a stone.
I would call him a dumpster fire.
Yeah. Well, we'll go with that. Two dumpster fires with one stone.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Ali's going to do something now. I don't know what the hell they're going to do with them, and hopefully we will see more in the future.
Yeah.
At least it's no longer Retribution. So the second match was, well, actually, the first match on the show was Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, the women's tag team champions, or Nia My-Hole Jax and Shayna Baszler with Reginald versus Bianca Belair, the Royal Rumble winner, and the SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
It was okay. I mean, again, it's kind of what you'd expect.
Yeah.
It was just how would I put it? It was a match that moved the story along. Not a bad match, but it was okay. Like, it kind of continued Sasha and Bianca's feud in a way, with also giving Shayna and Nia title retention. We got good tag team maneuvers throughout the match, and then basically what happened towards the end was, so there was like Belair kind of, so Jax ended up shoving, I think it was Belair onto Banks, if I'm not mistaken, and then they start arguing, which then led to Shayna rolling her up, and they retained, and then it ended with Banks slapping Bianca, so she's kind of a heel, I think.
I don't know. That's the only thing I remember at matches, Banks slapping Belair after.
It was all right. I mean, it's not a bad match, but it's a match that was kind of pointless, but at the same time, it moved the story along.
Yeah.
So I can't really say anything really bad about it, other than it just was. It was an opening match. Like, it's a match that should have opened the card. Like, I would not have had this match later down the card, because then it would have just made no sense. Next up was Biggie versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship. Basically, the feud started because Apollo Crews is being an asshole, pretty much.
Yeah.
Again, this is kind of an example of, I would have rather them just maybe brawled and then not having a match, because I feel like this match was kind of pointless.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I liked the beginning of it, but then when the match was starting to get going, Apollo, like, Biggie ended up, like, I turned away for like maybe a minute, and then the match was over. I was so genuinely confused. I was like, wait, did the match end already? I was like, shit, that was kind of a waste of time.
Yeah.
And I'll even be honest, this was actually kind of the weakest match on the card, besides the next match, but it was very disappointing, because I expected way more from those two.
Yeah.
They could have used a little bit more time. Like, I don't mind them having a finish like that, but the match should have been longer, and they should have had more time to do it. Because I think because from what I'm reading right now, it ended in about 5 minutes.
Ooh, that is not good.
No, it wasn't. But they're getting a match at WrestleMania, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Shadow, what were your thoughts on this match?
Ill pointless because it's a big feud on SmackDown. It's like the top mid card feud, and having it at Fastlane was just pointless, like you said. I felt like it would have been more better if you just did a storyline with it instead of just actually having them have a match. Maybe have Biggie unconscious in the back, so he's not able to compete or something like that. Would have been a lot better.
Absolutely. Next match was Braun Strowman versus Elias with Jackson Riker. Basically, this match happened because Shane McMahon got quote-unquote injured, and that's how he got to the match. And honestly, I can't really say anything about it because it was just a squash match.
Exactly.
And it was kind of... And this feud between Shane and Braun is fucking stupid.
Just like Braun.
Exactly. Oh my god. And it's like the Elias thing was like Elias is continuously buried.
Yeah.
And just all of that. It's bad.
Yeah, it's very bad.
So I'm not even going to continue talking about it.
Mm.
In the next match, we have Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I kind of expected a little bit. I expected a good match out of these two because of who they are, and also the last match they had, which was at Survivor Series 2018.
Yeah.
Like, I thought the match was good. So, and especially now that the roles are kind of reversed this time around, I was expecting the match to be good, which it was. I thought it was good, but it was, again, it's like another one of those matches that it could have been better, but I'm not upset with what we got. In fact, it's probably one of the stronger matches on the show. Obviously, I kind of predicted Seth Rollins was going to win because they have to build up Seth Rollins' momentum before WrestleMania. So it just kind of sucks that Nakamura was the one that Seth Rollins had to beat because it's like they're continuously like burying Shinsuke.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks, but it was still a overall good match. Seth beat Nakamura with the stomp, and obviously we're getting Cesaro versus Rollins at Mania, so
I can't wait for that.
I hope that it's Cesaro's big moment, having him beat Seth Rollins, but
the thing is, sorry to interrupt, but the thing is with Cesaro and Seth is that this is probably going to be the biggest feud Cesaro will have for a while. It's just Vince and Cesaro aren't on the same wavelength, so
yeah. We got Logan in the house. What's up, Logan? Great to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. It's awesome. I'm gonna agree with that too. It's just like Cesaro to me is like somebody who should be a world champion.
Yeah.
Like, he's pretty much over with the crowd. And I love overall and I like Cesaro. But the problem is, WWE doesn't know what to do with them. Like, Cesaro has the look. Cesaro has, sure, he's not the greatest on the mic, but he has the look. He can wrestle.
Yeah, he has the in-ring prowess that not a lot of people have.
But it's like, don't get me wrong, even though I really like the Bar as a tag team, they kind of wasted him in a team that, kind of went on too long.
Yeah.
Logan's like, popping in what's going to say that I'm an angry nerd.
We all are, mate.
Exactly. We all are angry nerds at heart.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's like, even though the Bar is great, and even his team with Nakamura was great, it's like they keep putting him in pointless tag teams. It's just, not to say the Bar was a pointless tag team, but it was more like a team that they just accidentally made to be a really good team.
Yeah. With with Cesaro, I mean, after Mania, I hope I see him in a feud with Apollo Crews for the IC title, maybe. Spoilers for later on, but yeah, I'd like to see that happen. So Cesaro actually has a title to go for.
Yeah.
And it elevates him a bit more as a top mid-carder, but knowing Vince, he's probably going to face Chad Gable.
Probably.
And I don't want that to happen.
No, no one does. Because I want to see Cesaro actually be in, like, the main event type situation. Like, he doesn't have to be a main eventer, but I would like him to actually do something.
Yeah, I'd like to see maybe Cesaro versus Jey Uso. That'd be fucking sick.
Oh, that'd be great.
Or maybe a Swiss Cyborg versus Tribal Chief. That'd be something for SummerSlam.
Oh, that'd be an awesome match. EJ's like, what's up, guys? Just watched The Dark Knight Returns for the first time, and now I see what everyone is talking about this movie. I absolutely loved it. It is a very, very good movie.
It's the weakest of the trilogy, but it's still very good, which shows how good the Batman trilogy is.
I think he's talking about the animated one.
Ah. I look like a fucking idiot.
It's alright. Next up, we have Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus in a no-holds-barred match.
This one was too predictable.
It was very predictable. It was a fun match, though. I will give it that.
Yeah.
It was a fun match, very brutal, and it was still a good match, but this is an example of they should have just had this match be a number one contenders match.
Yeah.
Because it would have made it more impactful.
Yeah.
And it would have made the match make more sense, because to me, when you don't do that, it just feels like it feels like they were feeding Drew.
Yeah.
Like they had to feed Drew an opponent for Mania, so they're like, okay, let's just, oh, Sheamus, you're not doing anything right now. You mind jobbing to Drew tonight?
Yeah.
And again, I like Sheamus. I'm not saying he's the greatest ever, but he's still good.
He's consistent. That's what makes him a very good company man. He's just
absolutely. I mean, the spots were cool. I mean, It made Drew look strong. It made Sheamus look good in defeat.
Yeah.
I mean, what else can you really say? I think, if I'm not mistaken, Sheamus kind of fell off the shit. I gotta remember what he fell off of.
He fell through some of the boards and fell.
Yeah, he fell through some of the boards and.
Yeah. That was some sparkles.
Yeah, they did that, and.
Yeah.
The end of the match was Drew hitting a future shock onto a television monitor.
Yeah.
And then he hit the Claymore. Again, it was good. I will say I enjoyed it. Very brutal. It's like what I would expect in a no-holds-barred match.
Yeah.
So I will not say anything negative about the match other than it was predictable. And was it really needed? No.
Yeah. It just went at that point.
But yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
In the semi-main event, we have Randy Orton versus Alexa Bliss in an intergender match.
Also, we fought.
Indeed. Again, I kind of figured they weren't gonna do any of the wrestling in this match.
Yeah.
It was more like magic stuff.
Yeah.
It was cheesy, but I think it worked for the story. It basically started with Randy spinning up the black liquid like he did the last couple episodes of Raw or the last few weeks. Then Alexa was using her magic powers to cause shit to happen, and she threw a fireball at one point and caused one of the lighting things to be the fall down.
Yeah.
And then Bray Wyatt ended up coming back in. Hey, Kabari, how's it going? Happy Easter Monday. Happy Easter Monday to you too. Happy Easter Monday to everybody.
Happy Easter Monday, guys.
So Bray Wyatt came back, and I will be honest, I was kind of glad they gave him a new look instead of them going with just, oh, he's okay. Kind of like it's kind of like, you know how in 2005 when Randy Orton just put Undertaker in the casket, lit him on fire, and then like at Survivor Series he comes back and he looked okay?
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, like I can give Undertaker a pass because technically he wasn't in the casket, but it would have been cool if they gave him like a kind of like a new look, sorta.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen Undertaker kind of have what they should have given to Kane, like the scarred face and all that.
Yeah, but I like the new look. It definitely made the wait worth it. And Alexa ended up beating Randy Orton after Bray hit the Sister Abigail on Randy Orton, which is now leading into a match at WrestleMania, which we will be talking about in a bit. Shadow, what did you think about the whole Bray Randy stuff?
Well, if I'm being honest, I enjoyed it. Like I said, it was a bit cheesy, but it belonged there. The Fiend looks fucking sick. I feel like they could do some tweaks to his outfit still, but I'm impressed. I can't wait. It's just a shame that there's not going to be another Firefly Funhouse match.
All right. Very nice. And the last match on the show was Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, accompanied by the legal counsel Paul Heyman. And he took on Daniel Bryan with Edge being the special guest enforcer. I think this match definitely was the best match on the card. Again, it's Roman Reigns, so of course it's going to be the best match on the card. And it played into both of their strengths, where Daniel Bryan's the underdog and Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns. And I love the story of the match. It definitely worked. And I actually believed at times that I thought Daniel was actually going to win.
Yeah.
And, towards the end, of course, the referee goes down and Reigns hits a spear. Edge became the referee, and then shit caused to happen. And Jay came in, and he super kicked Edge and Bryan, and then Bryan hit. Well, I guess then the chair came in. Bryan then hit Jay with the chair, but then he actually hit Edge. Well, actually, he was going to hit Roman, but he actually hit Edge, and just when Bryan was about to win, Edge ended up hitting Bryan with the chair, and actually Roman Reigns actually tapped out.
Yeah, that's very true.
Which is very surprising because I believe this is the first time in a long time that we've seen Roman Reigns tap out like that.
That's the first time ever I think he's tapped out.
Damn. So it shows that heel Roman Reigns has it's just a lot of progression.
Or regression in the submission game.
Yeah, I would say regression, probably. I was like, hey, Shadowhunter, I was on your Batman gameplay live stream, but it seems to be frozen.
I'll check that out, but I'll see what's wrong with it. I'll get back to you on that.
And just when you think Daniel's going to win the title, Edge hit both Roman and Daniel Bryan with the chair. So the confusing thing I have with it is Edge a heel now?
I'd say he's a tweener, like Stone Cold is at the moment.
Yeah, I would say he's a heel because it's not like he just hit freaking Daniel and left. Like, he hit Roman too.
Yeah.
And I love how it was Edge is a heel. Like, no, he's not. In all fairness, Daniel kind of deserved it. Like, I know it was by accident, but he still hit Edge with the chair.
Yeah.
So it was more like, hey, guess what, asshole? I'm going to fucking hit you back because you hit me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. The reason I say he's a tweener is because he's not insulting the fans, or he's not trying to go to fans, you suck, and shit to them, maybe Baron Corbin would. But at the same time, he's not really He's not really being acting a face way in the ring.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of how the match ends, and then the referee came down and Reigns ended up pinning Daniel Bryan. The overall match is absolutely great, but the finish kind of took it down for me.
Bit like AEW.
Yeah. Like
more sparkles in the Drew McIntyre match than there was in that one.
Pretty much. It's like, I think it would have made more sense if Roman got up and then he could have just like did a guillotine choke on him, and then you could have just said that Bryan just passed out.
Yeah. I don't feel like it makes sense for Daniel to tap out.
Like, you don't have to make him tap out, but like the way Roman did it is like Roman just pinned him, even though Daniel should have kicked out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he should have just pinned him. If you want Daniel Bryan to kick out, have Bryan kick out, and then him put in the guillotine, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But what were your thoughts on the match?
I loved it. Just like you said, it's just the finish kind of ruined it a little bit for me. I can't wait for like some of the promos they're going to do on Smackdown like this Friday. See what they could do for WrestleMania. But yeah, I feel like all three of these men will have great in-ring chemistry come Mania. Yeah, I really can't wait for the night 2 main event.
All right, and thoughts on the show overall?
Forgetful.
Yeah, it's definitely not the greatest pay-per-view ever. It's fine. Like, I don't think I really had any negatives with it other than maybe the Braun Strowman match and the Biggie Apollo match. But other than that, the matches were just either average or I wouldn't even say like the best match on the card was the main event. The McIntyre Sheamus match was fun. And I would say the Fiend return was cool.
I'll just say it's unnecessary overall.
Yeah. I would go maybe a C or a C+.
I'd go C, personally.
All right. That was the best review.
Yeah. I thought the last time I enjoyed Fastlane was maybe 2016 with the main event between Lesnar, Ambrose, and Reigns.
I think the last one I really enjoyed was the one in 2018, but that's pretty much about it.
Yeah.
Kavar's like thoughts on Space Jam 2 trailer.
Indifferent.
Yeah, it's fine, I guess, but I just don't really.
I don't care for it, to be honest. I'm not a big Space Jam fan, but I'll watch it just to have a review for it on my channel.
I watched the first Space Jam, and this one looks okay, but I'm not really a huge fan at the moment.
Yeah.
Next up, Andrade is officially released.
Fucking finally.
I was gonna say, like, Shadow, start us off here. What do you think about this news?
I can't wait for Andrade to actually be booked fucking correctly.
Yeah, and actually, I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of glad he did get released because it's like Andrade is not even doing anything.
Yeah. And one thing I found funny about when he tweeted about Wales' release, he didn't thank Vince McMahon at all. He just thanked Triple H and William Regal and Paul Heyman. He didn't thank Vince at all. So
that probably tells you something.
Yeah. He thanks the 2 people that run NXT and the 1 person who ran Raw through the summer when he was doing something decent.
Yeah, and it just kind of sucks because Andrade was like doing so good too.
Yeah.
Like Andrade, he came in NXT, he didn't start off great, but then when he got put with Selena Vega, like he definitely got skyrocketed and he won the NXT title, had that great match with Johnny Gargano, and even had a great match with Aleister Black to cap things off. It's like you would think he would get somewhere, and he had great matches with Rey Mysterio. Like every week, he would face Rey Mysterio, and all those matches were bangers. Yeah. so you would think that Andrade was getting somewhere, and he won the U.S. title too, and he had great matches, and it's like he was definitely a main event caliber star. And then 2020 happened, and he was fucked.
2019 happened, and then he was fucked.
Well, but even in 2019, he was like still doing good stuff.
He was doing something, but it weren't anything of that he. It was literally just like the basics for him at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah,
he did hold the U.S. title for a bit, but even then, the reign for the most part was forgettable, and
yeah,
then he didn't even wrestle at WrestleMania because of the cough. And then he dropped the U.S. title, went into a team with Angel Garza for a bit. That didn't that didn't go anywhere. Like, you could have at least put the Raw tag titles on them for maybe a little bit.
Oh.
But even then,
I'm just very disappointed.
And then I think the biggest nail in the coffin for him was when Selena Vega got released.
Yeah, because like ever since then, Aleister Black nor Andrade was seen after that.
And you can can we really blame Selena Vega though? I mean,
no, I think we just need to blame Vince's pettiness.
Yeah,
like, let him stream, man. Like that's all it is. It's just he didn't want them to stream anymore because like their revenue on Twitch and all that. It's just stupid.
Well, if they came up with it, but it's also an example of like they none of them were able to compromise.
Yeah, I mean AJ Styles could have left WWE for Twitch fame.
Like the thing is, it's I understand where Vince is coming from, but at the same time, it's like they should have had a compromise where it's like, okay, you're making if you're making money off of it, then that's fine, but a certain percentage of that money has to go to us.
Yeah, like 15% or so.
Like, it doesn't even have to be much. Like, Vince should just say, like, look, just give us a small chunk of it, and the majority is yours, but we just need a small chunk.
Give me your money.
Pretty much. Yeah. But I do understand, because like when you think, because I'm also going to look at it in Vince's point of view, is that when you sign a contract with the company, you should technically only be making money off that company.
Yeah.
Which is fair. I will give him that. But at the same time, though, if they want to stream, just let them fucking stream.
Yeah. At the same time, it's elevating WWE's name because you're getting the superstars streaming and then they're getting more connected with fans, which will make people want to come to live events and shit more to see that superstar.
Exactly. And like
logic.
And another compromise too is like just don't use your wrestling name.
Yeah, just use like your real name, like Alan Jones or something like that.
And if you want to stream, don't make money off of it.
It's just Vince is a very old-fashioned businessman, and I don't think that's working in today's world.
But you know what's funny? The NXT stars do it, and they don't get in trouble.
Yeah, because it's fucking Triple H, isn't it? I mean, to be honest, most of the stuff that NXT do, they wouldn't get away with it without Triple H.
Exactly. Like, Triple H is probably just like, I don't give a shit. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's because Triple H is just kind and nice, and he's just a fucking G.
Like, I feel like that he's more laid back, but at the same time, like, he's like, all right, like, we got to do this, that, and the other. Like, because I think he's all business when it's time to do business, but I think other times he's just more laid back.
Yeah. Triple H is that person, like that teacher in school, where, like, you can go on your phone, just look like you're doing your work. He's one of those people. But when it comes to doing stuff, he'll actually get serious about it. But if you're not doing any shows or anything, he'll just be like one of those teachers.
Exactly.
And that's what I love about Triple H. He's just so relaxed and so chill.
And I don't know if this is true or not. I don't think it is. But I also heard rumors, like going back to the Andrade thing, that Charlotte said that she was going to sit out WrestleMania if they released Andrade. And
But I mean, she got COVID, so I mean, she's already got to get out.
Pretty much. But if that was the case, though, then I actually got to respect Charlotte for that.
Yeah. Because they can't blame Andrade for Zelina Vega's actions.
No. Now, well, I don't really think Zelina Vega got fired or released because of the fact she was streaming. She got suspended or she got released because she started an OnlyFans which that I kind of understand because Vince already said like, hey, don't do that, and she still went ahead and did it.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's not like Andrade started at OnlyFans, was it?
No.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that a lot of them who are associated with Zelina Vega in a way, like, they're fucked.
Yeah.
Like,
for at least the next 8 months, they are.
Pretty much.
I mean, I hope, like, promotions treat Andrade as good as we're treating him in Universe mode, because, I mean, if they do, then Andrade's going to be fucking amazing for the next couple of years.
Oh, absolutely. And it's kind of and it's like one of those wrestlers where it's like you look at him, it's like he's a main event caliber star.
Yeah, he looks like a wrestler. That's the thing. Like,
he had the look, he had the charisma, and I think if you gave him a manager, he could be a great heel.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen Andrade versus Cesaro. That would have been a good matchup.
Oh, it would have been amazing.
Yeah.
It's just one of those examples of someone that WWE just does not understand how to utilize.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, Vince is just an old-fashioned businessman, so he doesn't really get modern-day wrestlers that well.
No, he don't.
That's why people like Ricochet, also Black, Andrade, Apollo Crews for a while, Cesaro, Shinsuke, Keith Lee, don't get anywhere in this business because Vince wants someone Stone Cold or Undertaker, someone who's just old-fashioned and can just be good on the mic.
Exactly.
And like Paul Heyman said in like his shoot promo in like 2000 or something, he's turned wrestling into a dirty word.
Because that's essentially what it is now.
Yeah.
Because for Vince, it's sports entertainment.
Yeah, he's turned it into something that it shouldn't be. Like, wrestling is a second W. It's before the entertainment, so you should put wrestling before entertainment, but that's not Vince.
That's 100% right. What's up, Zach?
Right.
But in just general, there's so many things you could do in terms of the wrestling aspect. Like, that's what Vince doesn't really understand at the end of it, because he should know, like, because even like AEW is focusing more on the wrestling before the drama stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what the fuck and shit.
Yeah.
And I guess my last thing on this is, do you think that with Andrade getting released, do you think that it's going to open the door for guys like Aleister Black and Ricochet? And I think we brought it up last good old Wrasslin is, do you think it's going to open the door for other wrestlers like that's been fucked over like Andrade to be like, yep, I'm done?
Well, Andrade's already been gone, so.
Well, I mean, like, everybody else.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I feel like this will encourage people to, like, be like, if you're not going to use me properly, if you're not going to use me to my full capabilities, then why the fuck am I here? But at the same time, you got to go through all this legal shit to actually get released from the company. Like, I think John Moxley said it in an interview, like, he had to wait a contract out because, like, all the legal shit would have put him in bankruptcy. Like, it's just, WWE is just a bit fucked right now with its financial stuff, and it doesn't treat its contractors, as to call them, not employers, it don't treat them as they should.
Right.
Which is a bit annoying.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like, it just shit like this, it's like, it kind of baffles me.
Yeah. And when you have wrestling legends like Chris Jericho coming out, your creative team is shit, they don't know what they're doing. If you have someone like Chris Chris Jericho saying that, you know something's wrong, but Vince is just surrounding himself with yes men at this point.
Absolutely. Oh, that's pretty much exactly it.
That's why he rehired John Laurinaitis.
Pretty much. All right. Now, next we have our NXT Takeover predictions because NXT Takeover is this week. Before I get into specific matches, I guess I should ask: do you think this show is going to be good?
Oh, I think this could be the best takeover of the year. Like, some of the fucking matches on this are going to be top class. Sorry, go on.
And if I'm not mistaken, it is 2 nights, so it'll be April 7th and April 8th.
Nice. I just cannot wait for this. Like, this might be weird, but I'm actually looking forward to NXT TakeOver more than WrestleMania.
Oh, I am as well, because I'm more of an NXT fan than I am a main roster fan.
I am as well, but I mean, you've got Roman Reigns on SmackDown, so you can't really miss that.
That is true. All right, so let's get into the card itself, and we'll go like by each night. Night 1 is it's actually split up into 5 matches for night 1. Pete Dunne versus Kushida. These 2 guys were originally in the Gauntlet Eliminator, but then shit happened, and this is what we got.
No, they're not. Yeah.
I expect this match to be really good.
So, they're both top class wrestlers, so I'm not expecting it to be different.
As far as, because again, Pete Dunne is a great wrestler. We've seen his match against like Tyler Bate and Walter and Balor, especially. Yeah. Like Pete and Kushida himself also had a great match at the last Takeover. So, as far as who's gonna win, that's kind of the hard part because I think both of these guys kind of need a win at the moment.
Pete Dunne for me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say Pete Dunne because Pete Dunne just came off his program with Finn, and he kind of needs a win after not winning the NXT title.
Yeah, to stay in that top mid-carder status.
But at the same time, though, Kushida could get a big win here to kind of cement himself.
Yeah, Pete Dunne is... definitely needs to win more than Kushida for me personally, but I wouldn't be upset if Kushida won as well.
It's like one of those matches that whoever wins wins.
Yeah, I mean I don't mind if any of them win. I would just prefer Pete Dunne to take the win for me personally.
I'll agree with you just because again it's like I think it would make more sense for Pete Dunne to win, but.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Next, we have a triple threat tag match for the vacant NXT Tag Team Championships because Danny Burch got hurt, which resulted in the NXT Tag Titles to be vacated. And the 3 teams are MSK, Grizzled Young Veterans, and Legado del Fantasma, which is basically the guys who accompany Santos Escobar.
Yeah.
Again, I expect the match to be good because the tag teams always, usually for the most part, do awesome.
Yeah.
As far as who's gonna win, I might say MSK.
Okay.
Probably because I think MSK has a lot more. Like they just came off winning the Dusty Classic, so you should definitely capitalize on their momentum now. Rather than waiting.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. I feel like if they win, they'll probably hold it until Burch and Lorcan return as the team, and then they'll probably lose the titles then. But I feel like they'll have a nice little program with Legado del Fantasma after Mania.
It's possible, or they could continue their stuff with Grizzled Young Veterans.
Yeah. They could do anything with it, to be fair. They've got a wide variety to do with them.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's basically all I have because there's not a whole lot to really talk about with that match.
Yeah.
Next up is actually the 6-man gauntlet eliminator to determine the number one contender for the NXT North American Championship on night 2. It's Leon Ruff versus Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Bronson Reed versus Cameron Grimes versus Dexter Lumis versus LA Knight. Again, I'm excited for it, but at the same time, I'm like,
Yeah. I've got 2 people in mind that I think are going to win.
And who are the 2 picks?
Either Dexter Lumis or LA Knight.
Actually, I was actually going to agree with you on that. Like, I'm leaning towards more Dexter Lumis because he's actually in, like, a actual feud.
Yeah.
So
but
it's
LA
like...
Knight is just because he's new and also he's got a good bit of momentum behind him.
Oh, that is true, too. Yeah, I might say one of those 2 just because... Like, honestly, like, because I don't see Leon Ruff winning.
Neither do I. I don't see Isaiah winning either.
Cameron Grimes, maybe, but even then, that's kind of a stretch.
Yeah. Bronson Reed, it'll depend on when he enters.
Yeah.
I feel like if he enters in the last 2, then he has a good chance, but if he starts, like, first, he's not going to win.
Exactly.
Dexter Lumis, because he's already in a program with Johnny Gargano slightly, because he kidnapped Austin Theory. There's a good chance he could win. Cameron Knight, obviously, he's got some good momentum behind him, which could catapult him to win. But yeah, that's all I have.
All right. Next up, we have Walter versus Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT UK Championship. This match is I really hope this match is gonna be awesome, which I think it will.
Yeah.
As far as who's gonna win, it's gonna be Walter. I just don't see them putting the belt on Ciampa.
I've said this many times before. Champa is so underrated, and he's so fucking good. But I'm gonna have to agree. I don't think they'd put it on Champa because Walter is just being a beast recently, and just Whilst I'd love to say Champa because he's like my favorite wrestler in NXT, I can't. Walter is just too much of a menacing presence in the ring.
I also think the problem is though too is that Walter is already slated to defend the UK title against Rampage at the next UK event. So
that's true. But at the same time, Jinder Mahal was meant to face Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series, but that got changed to AJ Styles at the last minute. So
that is true, but I just feel like though that's more of a stretch. Like this is more of a stretch.
Yeah, it's just
it just feels like that they're just feeding Ciampa to Walter to make it feel like his title reign feels more.
Yeah, and that's
like,
what I just
established.
That's what I hate about this matchup as well. It's like making Ciampa feel like a jobber when he is. He's like one of the best wrestlers in NXT.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, I'd love to see maybe Alistair Black go back to NXT and face Ciampa. That'd be fucking decent.
That would be awesome.
Exactly. But, I mean, fuck Alistair Black. I'm alright.
And last, we have the NXT Women's Championship, Io Shirai versus Raquel Gonzalez with Dakota Kai.
I feel like we all know who's going to win this.
Yeah. We'll start with you. Who do you think's going to win?
Io.
Yeah, I'm going to say Io. I'll give NXT this. When like a women's star holds the title, she usually holds it for a very long time.
Yeah.
But I think this is but it's also kind of a problem though too. It's because while I respect them giving Io the belt for a long time, I also feel like it's going a little too long.
Yeah, it's getting a bit stale at this point. I hope Raquel wins, maybe. Like, if she does win, I'd be happy because she's a very dominant woman in the ring. But at the same time, I don't really see that happening.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Io Shirai, and I think she's done a good job with her title run. It's just what I like to see her lose the belt. Yeah, but if she doesn't, I'm not going to complain about it.
Yeah.
Next we got to night 2, and then we have the women's tag team championships as Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart, who are the champions, take on Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell.
I'm just gonna be honest. I don't care.
Yeah.
Who wins? Who cares? It's not gonna really affect anything.
No, it really won't. It would be cool to see the Way win it, just so that way they can have more titles to what they already have.
Yeah.
But but I agree with you. The problem is with the women's tag titles in general is they don't matter.
Yeah. I don't really see anyone oh, what's your favorite title in WWE? The Women's Tag Team Championships. I don't see anyone doing that.
It's such a useless championship.
Yeah.
I would just rather them have a mid-card title.
Yeah.
At least there, it would just actually feel like it means something.
Yeah. Oh no, I'd like to see an NXT Women's IC title or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the women's tag titles failed and they need to go.
Absolutely. Next up, we have actually a ladder match to determine the undisputed NXT Cruiserweight Champion. Jordan Devlin, the NXT Cruiserweight Champion, versus Santos Escobar, who's the interim NXT Cruiserweight Champion, who will be accompanied by Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde.
Mm.
Again, I do think this match definitely has potential to be the best match on the TakeOver card.
Yeah, but I think we all know what's going to be the best part of the TakeOver card.
Oh, absolutely. But it has potential to be one of the best.
Yeah, exactly.
And just as far as who's going to win, you know what? I would say maybe Santos, because I feel like they're doing this match to kind of take the belt off of Jordan, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
They want the Cruiserweight title to be here in the States, and that's why they're kind of taking it off him. Because if you think about it, Jordan, because of the pandemic, they're not gonna, because that was kind of the problem with Jordan Devlin's title run, is that because he couldn't travel, they had to keep the belt on him. So they had to create an interim title. So I think this match is more so to basically say Santos is the real Cruiserweight champion.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Santos is going to win.
Yeah. I was undetermined before you said that he would be accompanied by people, but now that you say he's going to be accompanied by people, I'm going to have to say Santos, because he's going to be with two other guys, and 3-on-1 in a ladder match ain't going to be that pretty.
Yeah.
And I don't think Jordan could take 3 people at once.
No.
Throughout a 25-minute ladder match, so.
I don't think you will either. And then we have Johnny Gargano taking on the Gauntlet Eliminator winner for the NXT North American Championship.
I don't think we can really predict this, can we?
No. I think, again, it's kind of hard but I think regardless, I think Johnny's going to retain.
Yeah. Sorry, you go ahead.
I just don't see Johnny dropping the title yet.
Yeah. Well, I think Johnny as a heel is a bit weird for me personally. I don't see Triple H making Johnny drop the title, since he's one of his golden boys.
Pretty much. But I also think the problem is with Johnny as a heel, he's kind of way too goofy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you saw the interview of Austin Theory, after last week's NXT, but it was just fucking weird.
Yeah.
It was just Johnny acting like he was Austin Theory's dad or something.
But that's pretty much just them, though.
Yeah, it's still a bit weird.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say Johnny retains.
Yeah, same. But it's just
next we have the unsanctioned match between Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole.
Oh yes.
Basically, this match came to be because Adam Cole turned on the Undisputed Era, and then it led to the Undisputed Era being no more, which then resulted in O'Reilly facing Cole in the unsanctioned match, and also Cole took him out with a brain buster on the steel steps. This match, in terms story-wise, this match has the potential to be the best match of the entire WrestleMania weekend.
Best match of the year, maybe.
As far as who I think is going to win, I think Kyle O'Reilly is going to win.
Yeah. It's for me. I don't know. Both men easily have a reason to win. Cole to establish him as a dominant heel, and O'Reilly to establish him as a top face, and also vengeance.
But I also kind of say this though, I think Adam Cole can take the loss, whereas with Kyle O'Reilly, I think he needs a big win.
Yeah, I feel like if Cole loses, they won't do it in a very sloppy way.
No,
but if Kyle loses, they'll do it in a sloppy way.
Yeah. I'll go Kyle O'Reilly just because I think that's where they might go.
Yeah. I'd like to see one more match with Adam Cole after this, but they've made it out so it's just this match only, which I find a bit disappointing, because this could have gone on like the Gargano Champa feud, maybe 2 years like they did with that, but the only reason I was like that is because Champa was out to injury, but still, they could have had so many great matches for these two, but it's just making it sound like it's only going to be one.
Yeah. And then finally, we have Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross for the NXT Championship. Karrion Kross got injured, so he had to vacate the title after a couple days. Finn Balor would then end up winning the title, and Karrion Kross you know what, bitch, I'm coming back for my title. And Balor's well, come at me, asshole. And that's pretty much the feud.
Yeah.
This one is probably the hardest match to really say who's going to win.
Because Balor is just on a fucking roll right now. He's probably my third favorite wrestler at the moment. And also, Triple H is very high on Finn. As we've seen.
I consider Finn Balor to be the final boss in NXT, because when you really think about it, Finn Balor is still the longest reigning NXT champion, and Finn Balor has the best NXT TakeOver win-loss record.
Yeah, and also Finn Balor is the NXT champion.
So he's the final boss in a video game.
He's like Joker in Arkham City.
Exactly. But then at the same time, you have Karrion Kross, which...
Yeah, who is being made to look like the next Brock Lesnar. Just how dominant he is. But yeah.
The thing is, and this is the first, it's do I want to see Karrion Kross win?
I want to see him win, but at the same time, I want to see Balor with the title, because I'm scared that they won't give Balor a rematch and they'll put him down into the mid card.
Like, that's the one thing. It's like, I don't know who I want to see win. Because on the one hand, I would like to see Balor win. Like, Balor winning would make sense. But at the same time...
So would Cross.
Because if you think about it, Balor's, I feel like, is more so the placeholder. And that I think Cross is just going to win the belt back. And because I don't know how long Cross's run was going to last if he did not get hurt. And I don't know if he would have actually dropped it to Finn.
I don't feel like Finn and Cross would have actually feuded if Cross was champion and did get injured.
But I mean, it's possible, though.
It's possible, but I don't see that being highly likely.
No. I mean, would it be cool if Finn Balor became the Demon and ended up facing Karrion Kross?
No.
But even then, it's like they've established, and like I said before, like they've established that Finn Balor does not need the Demon to win huge matches.
Yeah.
Like his entire run in NXT up to this point, he has not needed the Demon at all.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, looking at this Finn Balor, it's not the same Finn Balor that used the Demon. It's a very different one. It's a more complex Finn Balor.
I think this Finn Balor would defeat the Demon easily.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be a cool matchup, Finn Balor versus the Demon.
Yeah, you give just this Finn Balor. This Finn Balor would defeat the main roster Finn Balor in no hurry.
3 minutes.
The Demon might pose a challenge, but this new Finn Balor has been badass. He doesn't need the Demon. He has held the title for quite a bit, so...
And most importantly, this Finn Balor knows how to do a fucking sick promo.
Exactly, and also the way instead of the coup de grace, he uses the 1916 as his finisher.
Yeah, it seems like childish.
Why the coup de grace? The 1916 is badass.
Yeah, it just seems less childish compared to.
Which don't get me wrong, a foot stomp off the top rope would probably beat you.
It would hurt a lot more because I mean you have the weight for Balor and then also the acceleration he's coming down on you with. But
comparing it to getting spiked on the top of your head.
Yeah, I mean that's something else.
But to say who's gonna win?
We'll be back in a moment, ladies and gentlemen, when we've decided.
It's you know what? I'm gonna say Karrion Kross. I think they're gonna put the belt on him. It's just I just don't see them take. Well, they did it well, but Sami Zayn didn't really hold even though he was didn't hold the belt long. He still held it for a good time, or at least longer than Kross did. I don't think Triple H is gonna let Kross just hold the belt for 4 days and then just not win it again. I'm going to say Karrion Kross. I just think they're going to put the belt back on him maybe for a little bit.
I'm going to go different. I'm going to have to say Finn Balor.
I mean, it's one of these guys win, I don't have a problem with it. It's just... I'm just trying to figure out what would make more sense.
It's like picking Undertaker or Brock Lesnar who's going to win.
It's
yeah.
But I also make this point too, kind of like the Adam Cole Kyle O'Reilly thing. It's Finn Balor by this point can take a loss.
Yeah, I'm just scared that Finn won't recover after a loss to Kross if he does lose.
I mean, if he's staying in NXT, I think he can.
Yeah. But knowing Vince, I mean, he'll probably do the same thing he did to Keith Lee, bring him up after his NXT title loss and then just...
I really hope that's not the case. I think he even
said yeah.
I think Balor said in an interview, his run in NXT wasn't supposed to last as long as it did.
Yeah, but then you got Triple H, who is wrestling father. So I mean,
Indeed. Next up, we got our Wrestlemania predictions. We went, man, holy hell! Like this has been great.
yeah, time flies. We're having fun.
WrestleMania 37. Honestly, I don't really care. Compared to NXT Takeover, the card's good, but it's not 100% fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, some of the matches like Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre, Reigns, Edge and Bryan, they're fucking amazing. It's just the rest of the card is a bit. It's a bit hell in itself. Like
it feels like rushed.
Yeah.
So we'll just get into these matches here. So I'm just gonna go by what I'm seeing here in terms of like not necessarily order, but kind of like the ones like I'm just gonna go from top to bottom. So for night one, we have Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I expect this match to be good. The build has not been necessarily the greatest.
Yeah.
As far as who I want to win, I would like to see Bianca win, which would make sense.
Yeah.
I'll just say Bianca. I just think Bianca's going to get that huge moment. As far as this match being the main event of WrestleMania, or at least night one, it's possible. I think it probably will.
I will have to say Bianca will win because she's an up-and-coming star and I feel like they're going to build her well. But I wouldn't really put it past them to let Sasha win because she's kind of like the Roman Reigns of the women's division. She's got mainstream media attention with what she did in The Mandalorian and stuff.
Yeah.
So like that as the women's champion wouldn't really be too bad.
No.
But at the same time, Bianca's going to be an up-and-coming. She's very young, and I'd feel like that would help her in her early career.
Absolutely. So we're both agreeing on Bianca. Next up, we have Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. So on Monday, the Hurt Business is no more because Bobby Lashley's like, fuck these guys. And I was like, what the fuck?
That's the biggest fucking mistake they've made since, what, this. It's just a big, like, one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made. In my
Exactly.
opinion. Like, Hurt Business was so fucking amazing.
It's like that was so stupid, and I'm like, I'm already fearing for what's going to happen in this match because I expect this match to be good. And it's not that I hate Drew McIntyre; I want to see Bobby Lashley retain.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't think it's the fact that I'm not scared of what's going to happen in the match. I'm scared of what's going to happen to Lashley after the fact.
Exactly. Like as much as I like Drew, I don't want Drew to go on this another monster title run. We've already seen that.
Yeah. But at the same time, Drew McIntyre is one of the top people in the wrestling business right now, and he was a very good champion in my opinion. He
was an absolutely great champion, but like how long is it gonna be before everyone's like, oh, this is the next Roman Reigns or the next John Cena? And I don't really think I'm going to compare him to that because I think Drew's push to the top, like, I think it was more organic.
Yeah, he just seems like he's having more fun as a champion. It seems a lot more genuine from Drew McIntyre as it has been from a lot of people like Jinder Mahal or something.
Right. Like, I think if Drew wins, again, it's not a problem, but I would like to see Bobby retain because I want to see what he actually does with it.
Yeah, I would like to see Lashley versus Lesnar, but Lesnar has no interest in returning to wrestling.
See, that's what sucks, because I really would have liked to see Lashley versus Lesnar.
I mean, I would have liked to see that in like a I feel like they'll do something like maybe Lesnar versus McIntyre in an octagon.
Yeah. Like, that would even be cool, too.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just that's one of the biggest missed dream matches in since the 2000s, in my opinion. Besides from Taker versus Sting.
Like, they should have done it at, like, SummerSlam and, like, 2018.
Yeah, have Lashley defeat Reigns in Extreme Rules instead
Exactly.
that year. Because, I mean, we can all admit, Reigns in 2018 was so fucking shit.
Yeah, he was.
Like, this Roman Reigns is probably one of my favorite wrestlers of all time right now.
That's me as well. Like, he is like I know, like, everyone's like, well, who's better, Kenny Omega or Roman Reigns? I'd be like, now Roman Reigns.
Yeah, Kenny Omega is absolutely shit on the mic. I'll just say that right now. He's not good on the mic.
And I will even say this: I think Kenny Omega's overrated.
Yes, if I'm being honest, I don't think Kenny Omega's the best wrestler in AEW. I'd say Jon Moxley is.
Exactly. Like, I don't even think Kenny Omega's the greatest wrestler ever.
Neither do I. I mean, Kurt Angle's better, Shawn Michaels better, Undertaker's better, Roman Reigns is better, Seth Rollins is better, Cesaro. I'd put him on the level of Cesaro maybe, but he's greatest.
Like, Kenny Omega's like a guy that, because like he's had like maybe a couple really good matches, he got overrated really quickly.
Yeah, people just started getting on his ass and just being like, this is the man. He is the best in the world because he had a 6-star match against Okada in Dave Meltzer's eyes. He's so fucking sick. Let me lick his ass. Yeah. He's just not good. I'm sorry.
And I'll even say this: AJ Styles is way better than Kenny Omega.
Oh, yeah. I mean, AJ Styles for me is probably the best wrestler of the generation.
Oh, he is. And Kenny Omega is not even close.
Yeah.
Now, am I saying he's like overrated in the ring? Like, no, I think Kenny Omega's good in the ring. He's not as good as like people like Dave Meltzer make him out to be.
Yeah, Dave Meltzer. That's why I never listened to Dave Meltzer. He has an over-exaggerated opinion.
He does. And he especially has one like with the Japan guys too. Like, he's like, oh, these guys are like the greatest wrestlers ever.
No. I mean, it's just
Like, even like Okada. Like, I respect Okada, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's the worst. No. I believe I'm going to probably change what I'm going to say here. Okada is great. And I would even say Okada is better than Omega if you're looking at it as like Japan standards.
Yeah. I would put Okada, if you want to talk mainstream wise, I'd put him on the level of maybe he's just a tad bit worse than Shinsuke Nakamura.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But I don't, but like, that's like, because again, I'm not a huge Japan guy either, so it's kind of like, because I haven't watched a lot of it, so I can't really judge my opinions on guys like Okada and Tanahashi and Omega. Like, Omega I can, because I've actually seen more of his work than Okada and Tanahashi, but it's like, and even the Young Bucks are overrated as hell.
Yeah. They are a sick tag team, but they are not the best tag team in the world.
No.
I mean, I would say the Revival's maybe a bit better than them.
Yeah, I say FTR is the best tag team this generation.
I still call the Revival. That's just me.
No, I mean, I call them the Revival. I think it's just easier, but the Revival, like, just they have like this old school tag team feel.
Yeah,
and it works.
Yeah. Something like Vince see again.
I even think the New Day is overrated.
With their runs from 2015 to 2018, yeah. Biggie, not so much. Xavier Woods, I think he's a tad bit overrated. and then Kofi kicks and he's just there.
Like, I think like their earlier run, I don't think they're overrated, but I think when we're talking about now, they are really overrated.
Yeah.
The fact that they put the belts back on them after they just lost it should probably tell you how bad their tag division is.
Yeah, it's just... This is why I only watch SmackDown, man.
Yeah. Like, Biggie's great. I'm not denying Big. Like, I think individually they're great. I just think they
Together it's a bit over the top.
Like, it's more overwhelming than it is overrated because they hold the belts for so long.
And they've held it 11 fucking times.
Like, I'm sorry, like, guys who, like, you know, are talking about unicorns, pancakes. Like, I'm sorry, I can't take them seriously as a tag team.
Yeah, and people are fucking serious to call it, like, some... I can't remember the name of it.
Like, guys like the Revival, I could buy being 11-time tag champions because they have, like, they're more serious, they're grittier.
They look legit.
Whereas the New Day, like, they're having, like, unicorn, like, horns on their heads, like, they're twerking. Yeah. Like, I can't take them seriously.
Yeah, if I sent you a picture of the New Day, if I sent you a picture of the Revival, and said which one looks like a tag team, you'd say the Revival would.
Exactly. And you know what? I will even say this. The Usos, they are not overrated.
No, they are underrated, in my opinion. Especially looking at Jey Uso and how he's doing his singles run.
Like, the Usos are clearly the better team than the New Day.
Yeah.
Because even with, like, their, like... Because even, like, 2017, where you could say maybe, like, the heel Usos were, like, cheesy, which it kind of was, but at the same time, it was, like, I could still buy them as champions.
Yeah.
Like, they had a good... Like, their attitude, the way they, like, wrestled, the style, like... All that actually made them look serious, and I could take them actually seriously as a threat. The New Day, it's like, I can't take them seriously.
Yeah.
It's like as individual wrestlers, yeah, I can take them seriously. Like, Big E's like a guy that I can take seriously just by his look alone.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, even though Big E is goofy, I still take him seriously when it's time for him to be serious.
Yeah.
But if, like, someone like Kofi, I could take serious because he's a former world champion. But even then, I can't take him seriously. Like, even like his title run, like, even though his title reign was great and he looked very strong, I couldn't buy that he was going to be a strong world champion because of the way his gimmick was.
Yeah.
Like, and Xavier Woods, like, as much as I like the guy, like, don't get me wrong, I like all of them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the New Day are overrated in the sense they're bad. Because, let me be honest, they are not bad.
Yeah, it's just that promo work is a bit shoddy, in my opinion.
They're more overrated in the sense we see too much of them.
Yeah.
And actually, it's one of those instances where I'm kind of glad that Big E's on a singles run because Big E has done a great job.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he's in the spot that he's at because I think Big E's one of those guys that deserved it.
Yeah.
It's like, because Big E's a guy that, even though he's, like I said before, even though he's goofy, I could still buy him as a mid-card champion and even a world champion.
Exactly.
But if I'm taking like a guy like Otis, for example, I can't buy him as a champion.
Yeah. Give me a second here.
Because even like though Otis like is a heel now, I still can't buy him as a champion because he was so goofy before.
Yeah. I mean, hold on, let me try and give you a better example here. Like you're saying, it's just... Alright, I'm going to share my screen in a minute, and this is going to show the problem with wrestling here. Alright, so, share this. So, sharing that. This is what the New Day looks like. Alright?
Mm-hmm.
And then this is what the Revival looks like. Now you're telling me the people with the llama penises on their head are more successful than them?
Yeah, that's just no.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Like, and it's like, again, I like the New Day have given us great tag matches. I will not deny that.
How so with the Usos, for example?
Like, there's stuff that, like, a lot of their matches are great, and I would say Kofi Mania is definitely one of the best storylines like last decade.
Yeah, it's good. It's not as good as Daniel Bryan's Mania thing.
No, like Daniel Bryan will definitely be better than Kofi's, but I think Kofi was just as organic. I'd say it's a bit more organic just because Kofi was there a long time, and then
Yes.
it's like all like that was great, but it's just with the New Day, it's like it sucks because they broke up the Hurt Business before they did the New Day.
Yeah.
And the New Day was there longer.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, this is like 6 years of the same bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'll give it an example. Bayley was the same for a long time, and it got stale to me very quickly. But then with Bayley turned heel, it actually felt something different.
It felt genuine.
Yeah. But it's just like, but just to kind of end like that section, it's just like the New Day, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega are overrated. Like the New Day, I would say the New Day is slightly better than Omega and the Young Bucks because at least the New Day I would say they're good on the mic, and I will say that they do put on really good matches.
Yeah.
But the Young Bucks are overrated, and Kenny Omega is vastly overrated.
Yeah.
Like, because the New Day, I don't even and I will even say there are two different versions of overrated because the New Day are overrated in the sense we see them like win so much. It's absolutely ridiculous. Whereas with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, they're just overrated because they've had like a couple good matches.
Yeah.
And they're also in Japan.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to say on that.
After that short segue, what's the next match?
The next match is Bad Bunny with Damian Priest versus The Miz with John Morrison.
I don't care.
I don't care either.
I wish it was Damian Priest versus The Miz.
Yeah. As far as who's going to win Bad Bunny, I really don't want to. I just don't care.
I'd rather watch an hour of Paul than Bad Bunny versus The Miz. I just don't care.
That's all we're going to say about this match because we just don't care.
Yeah. If we don't care about a match, we'll just...
Next match, we have the New Day versus AJ Styles and Omos for the Raw Tag Team Championship.
Again, don't care, but AJ and Omos aren't going to win.
I really want AJ and Omos to win just because, I mean, why not, I guess.
I don't because I know AJ can do better.
Mm-hmm.
Like AJ versus Matt Riddle for the US title.
That, yeah. I would say that I would rather see AJ do, but it's like, you also have to think, though, too, like, AJ's main thing, or at least for the story, is that AJ has not held a tag title yet.
Yeah, but that's because the tag titles, well, AJ is too big for the tag titles, in my opinion. No,
he is. But it could also be a good thing to kind of help elevate the tag titles a bit more.
Yeah, they could have said that about New Day, but look what happened there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I just don't really care who wins.
Yeah, that's basically me. Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in a steel cage match.
again for the third time in a row.
I don't care.
I don't care. I mean, we know Braun's going to win, but we know Shane's going to do a coast post from the top of the steel cage.
Like, this match just, like, the build is so stupid. Like, this entire freaking feud is about Shane McMahon calling Braun Strowman stupid.
This feud is stupid.
Yeah, all of it is stupid.
Yeah.
Well, it's a steel cage match, so you know what? I'm going to say Shane McMahon's going to win because he's going to escape.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I feel like the only thing I'm gonna expect from this match is the coast to coast from the top of the steel cage,
Probably.
and then maybe an Elias interruption.
And then we have Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. This match, I'm actually intrigued by.
Same.
I'm just
Finally,
more
a match.
intrigued by how they're going to go about it.
Finally, a match that we're intrigued in. Yeah.
I mean, I would like to see Cesaro win.
Yeah. I like how they're building up the Cesaro swing and the curb stomp to look like really like painful and something you don't want to take, because I mean the swing has taken a mental toll on Seth Rollins, whilst the stomp just looks painful.
Yeah.
So I feel like at Mania, one of the two will happen, and I feel like the swing will happen, and then maybe Cesaro will go for a cover and win. But yeah, again, the match is obviously going to be good. I hope Cesaro wins. I'm just scared that this will be the only significant feud Cesaro has for the rest of the year.
And also, it's like, I also think, though, too, do you really think they're going to have Seth Rollins lose 2 straight WrestleManias?
Yeah, they did it to Brock Lesnar.
Oh, that is true.
Uh,
But, you know, we'll see. I mean, I'm excited for it.
yeah.
Next up, this time I'm going to go from the bottom because we'll talk about this last match for the Universal title last. We have, for night 2, Riddle versus Sheamus for the United States Championship.
I hope Sheamus wins, because for me personally, right now, he's doing some of the best work of his career.
Yeah.
And for Riddle, for me, I don't like Riddle.
No, I don't either. I mean, I'm glad WWE's like pushing him, but they should have pushed Keith Lee first.
They should have pushed Andrade first.
Exactly. Like, don't get me wrong. I respect them for trying to push someone new, but I'm like, why out of everybody Riddle?
All he does is fucking ride a scooter around.
Like, he's another guy I can't take seriously.
Yeah. I mean, if I had Andrade with the US title, which he already has, but if it was him currently with the title compared to Riddle just looks like a fucking joke.
Like, he's a fucking idiot. Like, the guy's like trying to sell bro nuts.
He
riding a
sounds
scooter
high every time. He just sounds high. That's not a good look.
Like, I have a theory they're gonna have Riddle beat Sheamus to kind of establish Riddle as like a dominant champion, quote unquote.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm surprised that Vince looked at one of Riddle's stuff and went, "Yes, you are getting a title."
And actually, fun fact, Keith Lee was supposed to be the US champion, but then got hurt.
Yeah, I heard that as well. And luck isn't on Keith Lee's side, let's say that.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Next up is Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn with Logan Paul.
Well, to be fair, this was actually one of the feuds I cared about. Quite Sami Zayn it's always going to be a good match because they have like one of the best in-ring chemistry in the business, in my opinion. I will have to say Kevin, just to push forward the Sami Zayn conspiracy storyline.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say, I'm gonna have to say Kevin Owens just because, like, even though I think Sami Zayn needs like but Zayn had a big WrestleMania win last year, so it's kind of one of those things where
So did Kevin Owens.
that is true. It's more on but like I'm gonna base this off like where do I think it's gonna? I'm gonna say Kevin Owens just because they're more high on Kevin Owens than they are Sami Zayn, and we know that they are just based off their track record.
Yeah, and also that it will push the Sami Zayn storyline more.
But I have a feeling like Logan Paul's gonna attack Sami Zayn, or he's gonna turn on Sami.
I'd like to see Logan Paul throw some hands. I mean, I know he's a boxer for JJ or KSI, and he also did wrestling in high school. So I mean, he's obviously got experience. So
yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I think it'll be a good match, but it just depends on where they go with it.
Did it just be, or when Logan Paul was on SmackDown, he looked very zoned out. His eyes were just very wide the entire time.
That is true. Next up, we have Biggie versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship in a drum match.
Apollo for me.
Yeah, I gotta say Apollo too. It's like I think that it would have made more sense. Like I said before, with the Fastlane match, it would have made more sense for them to brawl and then just not have a match leading into this match.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Apollo needs to win. And to me, I like Biggie, and I'm glad that they gave him the title, but I think it's time to take it off him.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think if in a hypothetical situation, if Roman beats Edge and Daniel Bryan in the main event, I think Biggie should be next in line to take on Roman for the title.
Yeah. I mean, in a dream scenario, I know I said this in the NXT Takeover stream, Vengeance Day. I'd really love to see Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns.
Oh, I would as well. But it just mainly comes down to if they're ever going to clear Samoa Joe or not.
Yeah. Samoa Joe's one of those who's for me, it's one of the biggest missed opportunities in wrestling at the moment.
Like, I wouldn't really call him a huge missed opportunity because, like, he's actually done more than a lot of the NXT call-ups have ever done.
Obviously, I mean, he's been in a match with Brock Lesnar, but I mean, how consistently did they book Samoa Joe?
Not very consistently.
And there's your point. I'd like to see Samoa Joe be a consistent top guy, unlike him doing some fucking shoddy matchups with Rey Mysterio for the US title, and then next minute becoming a face and be with Kevin Owens to take on Seth Rollins and his little social club.
That is true. So next we have The Fiend versus Randy Orton. We all know who's going to win this match. Let's be real here.
The Fiend.
Yeah, they're not going to bring him back just for Randy Orton to beat him, right?
They did it to Goldberg.
Oh, that's true.
Brought him back. Drew destroyed him in 5 minutes.
But I feel like in this situation, I think The Fiend will win just because I just don't see them. No, well, actually, it is possible Randy Orton could just be like, no, I'm going to have him. But no, I think Bray's going to win.
If Randy wins, it'll be in the most extreme way we'll ever see in wrestling. It'll be like Edge putting Mick Foley through a fire table.
But that's also the problem, though, too. Like, it's not even like a Firefly Funhouse match. It's like a normal match.
That's the biggest fucking opportunity on WrestleMania.
Like, it would be awesome. Like, I think it has potential to be the best. Yeah. Like, it even has potential to be better than the one we got with John Cena.
Yeah, taking Randy Orton for his career, how did you proceed? That'd be fucking sick.
That'd be amazing. But I also kind of understand because at the same time, we haven't seen the Firefly Funhouse since Bray came back.
It's just, it's a missed opportunity for me. For that.
Or hell, just do like an Alexa's Playground match.
Or maybe a Boneyard match.
Something like that too.
Oh, here's one, the Viper match. You can all use Vipers.
It's just like a bunch of snakes, and then it's like, here you go, and then they hit each other with snakes.
Yeah, Randy Orton could just use his face because he is the Viper.
I have a theory. They could have, what'd be a really cool spot is if the referee's down and then Randy lit Bray on fire, and then he hit the RKO, but then Bray got up and hit the Sister Abigail and the Mandible Claw, and then he wins. You'd
be weird if Bray Wyatt just lit his hand on fire and did Mandible Claw to Randy Orton.
Oh, damn, that'd be sick.
Just to show that Bray no longer fears fire.
That would be awesome.
Eat fire, dirtbag.
Fire. It's like that, like Beavis and Butthead, fire.
Yeah.
Damn, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Next, we have Asuka versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship.
Before we continue, may I just say, for the fourth time tonight, I don't care for this match.
I don't care either.
Shall we just pick someone and move on?
Sure, Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, same. All right, next match.
All right, and then we have the triple threat match for the Universal Championship. We have the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns versus the Rated R Superstar Edge versus Daniel Bryan.
Anyone could win out of these, but I mean, they're not going to take the title off Roman. He's doing such an excellent job.
But I feel... Well, actually, I have a theory that they put Daniel Bryan in this match. So I feel like to me, I think Bryan's going to take the fall.
No matter who it is, Bryan will take the fall for it.
I think I think this match is going to be where Roman's going to drop the title, but someone's taking the pin. Roman is not taking the pin.
I feel like I feel like how the match is going to go. They're going to have a 6-15-8 matchup. Bryan and Edge are going to team up on Reigns going through a table. And then they're going to have like a couple of bits scrap. And then it's going to be like no match, Reigns, Edge, Bryan just absolutely bashed it. And then we're going to see Bryan knee Reigns. Reigns going to roll out the ring. Edge is going to spear Bryan. 1, 2, 3. Edge is your winner. Bring back the world title. Reigns versus Edge. The next pay-per-view.
Yeah, I feel like, and actually, I think if either Bryan or Edge wins, I think Roman's going to win the title back.
Yeah.
Because Vince is more than likely still high on Roman Reigns. And
he's higher on Reigns than he was on Stone Cold, to be honest.
Yeah, that's also true.
I mean,
this one's tough because I don't know where they're going to go with this.
I mean, before you said, I'm just going to say Reigns. My personal belief, Reigns is going to win because of how good he's doing with the title and the fact that he is just one of the top guys in wrestling history. It wouldn't make sense for him to lose like how Drew McIntyre lost to Randy Orton. It just wouldn't make sense.
I'm going to say this is tough because, like I said before, if Daniel Bryan wins, it would make sense. To a degree, it would make sense because Bryan has not held the Universal title before, and also him winning would kind of not necessarily cap off his career, but he could at least say, "Hey, I won every championship there is to win." But it's but then that doesn't really. But then Edge would make. I think Edge makes the most sense out of all of them. He makes the most sense.
Edge makes sense, yeah. Because I thought Roman makes most sense for me.
I think Edge has more of a reason to win. But but Roman is also I think just because it's WrestleMania, I think I feel like because it's WrestleMania, it's going to come down to Edge or Bryan for me. But I think Edge is going to slightly edge it out because I think they're gonna have to.
Yeah.
And
I don't want to see Reigns lose because I know that if they do, it's not going to be the same. Because when you want to watch SmackDown, you watch Roman Reigns, and yeah, you could do that after, but they won't feature Reigns as prominently because he's no longer the world champion. I bet Bryan would be, and then it'll be them taking the spotlight. But yeah, I'm just going to pick Reigns and leave it at that.
All right. All right. So last topic for today. So instead of the tier list, I figured it would be cool to kind of go back into the past and maybe go through a storyline or a feud of some sort. Gargano versus Champa. This to me, and I've said this before, this is the feud that Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn should have been.
This, in my opinion, is probably the best NXT feud of all time.
And you know what? I would actually agree with that. Like, I think there's just so many layers to it that it makes it so complex.
Like, to be fair, sorry to interrupt, but this, to me, is the feud that O'Reilly and Cole could have if they had more than one match and they dragged it out for a bit.
But Gargano and Ciampa felt so organic, and it was just like there's so many more deeper things.
Yeah, so does O'Reilly and Cole a little bit.
Yeah,
They've been in this most dominant faction in NXT for a while, and then all of a sudden, bam, you can fuck off. And then you have stuff like Cole invading O'Reilly's gym. And then you also have O'Reilly and Cole being arrested by the cops because of their feud, which is, it just shows how in depth it could go. But they're putting a roof on the rivalry for that, and that is why I don't think it'll be as good as Gargano versus Ciampa.
Yeah. But before we continue, Nicholas did have a comment. Any thoughts on Jacob Fatu? Because he's a badass Samoan wrestler. I don't know who he is.
I know who he is. I just haven't seen any of his matches, so I can't really comment on it. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know him either. Like, I think I know who he is, but I just don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know.
I know he's a member of the LOA family, but I haven't seen any of his matches, so I can't really.
Yeah, I haven't either. But it's like, going back to Gargano versus Ciampa, like, I just like the way it started. Like, it didn't even really, but there was subtle hints, just the cruiserweight, they first come in together as a team, and then the cruiserweight classic happened, and that to me, I feel like Ciampa's loss to Gargano in the cruiserweight classic kind of was in the back of his head, and
yeah.
I think he was low-key obsessed with that, but
yeah.
He didn't really think about it because they were the NXT Tag Champions because they ended up facing the rival NXT Takeover Toronto, and they won the belts, and it was an absolute fantastic match.
Yeah,
and they.
Sorry, go on.
But as time went on, Ciampa even said himself, they didn't chant Ciampa's name, which isn't really true, but they mainly chanted Johnny Gargano's name. And to him, that kind of got into his head even more. It's like Johnny Wrestling. Everything had to be about Johnny Wrestling.
Yeah.
And Champ's like, it should have been all about me because they're doing the stereotypical, team breakup thing where it should have been me. Like Dolph Ziggler's line a couple years ago. It should have been me.
Yeah. This might sound a bit weird, but I feel like the injury that Ciampa got in the match, when after he attacked Gargano, I feel like that kind of elevated the feud. It built tension, it built the drama, and it kind of, whilst it was left in the dark for a couple of months, it kind of built the tension of what could happen if when he comes back, what will they do to elevate the NXT scene, or what will they do to ruin the NXT scene, as some people say?
And you know what though? Like, even though Champa was gone due to the injury, but the attack that he left on Gargano, like, he was still there. Like, he was mentally in Gargano's head because, you know, when Selena Vega threw, like, the DIY shot at him, like, Johnny Gargano just, like, froze because he could not escape that one thing, and that's Tommaso Ciampa. And then after that match with Andrade, you know, that absolute fantastic match. You know, you knew, but you also knew, like, Ciampa was lurking, and you knew he could attack. And then after that match, when he hit him in the back with a crutch, I'm like, that is actually really good storytelling because you know Ciampa's there, you know Ciampa's lurking, and when Ciampa attacked Gargano, it's like, okay, now it's like Gargano's like, now Ciampa's like, game, this is not over. Just because I left for a few months doesn't mean I ain't done. Like this, I'm going to kick your ass.
Kind of like the feud between Batman and Joker. They will always be known for each other, and they both complete each other.
It's like the relationship between Batman and Joker too. It's like they can't live without each other.
Yeah.
Like they are not who they are without the other.
Exactly.
And even when Ciampa tried to get rid of Gargano by costing him his match against Andrade, where Gargano had to leave NXT, he still couldn't get rid of him because like Gargano would like attack him, like
his house like 3:30 in the morning.
Like he also attacked in the parking lot. You know, Gargano impersonated like a fan and then attacked him.
Yeah.
Like everything about like just the way the feud was set up.
Yeah.
Is just great. And then you got to the match at NXT TakeOver New Orleans, and it was a very violent match. And the story told.
It felt real.
Like, and like the spots where like, you know, Gargano hit like the sunset flip, like the power bomb onto the concrete. I was like, fuck, that hurt. Like you could like that to me was like a holy shit.
Yeah.
And just
I mean, just to let you know, that is now on YouTube for you to watch. But it's unlike most matches, it felt real. It felt like it was an absolute brawl. It didn't feel like a wrestling match.
No, and then like the Project Champa, like off the top, like off the second rope, and then like the knees in the back, and then like the suplex off the announce table onto the floor. It's like it was very like it wasn't as violent as their other matches, but it was still very like aggressive.
Yeah, but I mean that's what you expect from a match like that.
Exactly, and the way like Gargano was going after the knee as well. It's like, and the knee brace and the crutch, like they brought in so many of those elements that made that story what it was.
Yeah.
And it worked. And Gargano being Ciampa made absolute sense. Meaning he's back in NXT. He finally conquered the villain. And then he's finally, you know, he wants the NXT title. And then when he tries to face for the NXT championship, guess who's back again? Tommaso Ciampa, that son of a bitch. He basically, like this man, like did an air raid crash onto the like tables, and I'm like, holy fuck! Yeah. And it's once again proves my point that like Ciampa's obsession, like even though like Gargano would have like, but it's also like the contrast between the two, like because like at like this first portion of the feud, the Ciampa's the one obsessed with Gargano, but as time went on, Gargano became obsessed with Ciampa.
Yeah.
Because by this point, if you want to be technical, Ciampa has not beaten Gargano.
That's very true.
And
he's but not beating him.
Exactly. And like Ciampa's like, you know what, you son of a bitch, I'm gonna kill you. We're gonna have a street fight. And like Johnny Gargano's wife is like, no, you don't do this. I'm not supporting it. And Gargano did it anyway because Gargano just wants to rip this man's head off by this point. And their Chicago street fight was fantastic. Like, once again, it shows just how explosive this feud was. Like, they were, like, Champa did, like, an air raid crash onto the steel steps. Like, Champa was, like, hit him with the top of the trash can. Like, again, Gargano went after the knee, and just, like, all of the elements in that match just worked.
Yeah, exactly. It's a feud like that, something that could go so wrong so quickly in the storyline, like kind of how Chad Gable and Jason Jordan did, even though it weren't really a storyline. The storyline like that could go really, really quickly. I'm glad this one didn't. And, like, because we've never really seen them two outside of the singles competition in WWE, besides from facing each other in the Cruiserweight Classic. We've never seen them at their full capabilities inside the ring, and when they face each other at takeover after takeover after takeover, oh my god. Because of this feud, Champa is my favorite NXT wrestler right now.
Oh, he's great. And what I liked about the match, the street fight, was that it's at the same place where Champa turned on Gargano, Chicago. And also, like, the throwback to where Champa, like, did the air raid crash, like, off the top of, like, a crate, and, like, he did through the tables, like, and Champa was, like, walking up the ramp like they did in Chicago the previous year, and he's like, "You are my brother, you know, but you were selfish," and stuff like that. Like, he did the same exact things that he did in, like, the previous year, where, like, he threw him into, like, the Tron, and then he hit the knee, and when Champ was like, "It's not enough. You don't know, they don't know, but I know it's not enough." Like, it's as if Ciampa knows. Like, Ciampa knew he's not going to be able to beat Gargano even with that. And then we spat on the wedding ring. And that also kind of symbolic, too, because Ciampa was also at Gargano's wedding.
Yeah, it was the best man, if I believe.
Like, he spat on the ring, and then Gargano hitting the air raid crash was like a justice in a way. But then Gargano snapped because Gargano's like, "You know what? No, it's not good enough," because he said in the promo beforehand, he's going to make sure that Ciampa leaves on a stretcher. And that was the case, but Gargano wanted to do more. And then Gargano, like, handcuffed Ciampa and hit a bunch of super kicks. But again, but he also says in the promo in the neck for the next takeover, where he's like, "All I saw was pain and, like, suffering and darkness, and that's why you won." And then Ciampa used Gargano's rage against him and hit the Willow's Bell, but it was like the DDT back then, onto, like, just, like, onto the exposed, like, ring portion of the ring, and Ciampa beat him. Handcuffed.
If you want, I've just found this here. We can actually look at one of their promos and see how intense it really was.
Oh, that'd be great.
All right, just give me a second.
I would say maybe try to lower the volume a little bit.
Yeah, well.
But and you know what? Also, too, is like Ciampa also knew how to drive the knife even further, and Gargano said this beforehand. It's like, because Gargano's dream was to become NXT champion, but because Ciampa beat Gargano, Ciampa had that opportunity handed to him.
Yeah. All right, give me a second. Oh, this way. It's about there. All right, sharing it. There we go.
Like, this was an awesome promo too.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, that was just a fire promo.
That is, every time I talk about this feud in depth, I always show that, and that is pretty much that feud encapsulated in one promo excellently.
Oh, absolutely. Like, to me, like, and I bring this up, is like, when you look at the feud overall, like, it progresses. Like, Ciampa, in a way, after beating Gargano, like, he was done. Like, all Ciampa really wanted, it to a degree, was he wanted to beat Gargano.
Yeah.
But over time, it was actually Gargano who became obsessed with Ciampa.
Exactly.
And to also bring up Gargano, too, is like, Gargano, after his loss in the street fight, like, he thought he had to go to a darker place to beat Ciampa and become NXT champion, because Ciampa, like, just walked in. It's like, "Hey, I want a title shot," and he got it. And Gargano's just sitting there like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And then in the match with EC3, like you see Gargano become an entirely different person. And then Gargano actually screwed over Aleister Black, and Champ became NXT champ because of him, and Gargano just like, what have I done? And then it's as if like Gargano is like officially losing it at this point. Like Gargano is like not necessarily becoming crazy, but it's as if Champa has finally gotten it to the point in his head where he's just like he cannot like Gargano is now officially obsessed with Champa, and Ciampa's the NXT champion, and he's like, nah, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then when, Aleister Black, when it was originally going to be a triple threat match for the NXT title, Aleister Black gets attacked. We don't know who it is. And then that's when we get the rubber match, so to speak. Ciampa, Gargano 3, last man standing for the NXT championship, which was supposedly going to be the last match. But we all knew it wasn't going to be the case. But they're like, William Regal's like, nope, we're done after this because I've seen what this shit's going to lead to. We can't do this again. This is the last time you two are facing each other.
Yeah.
So we get the match at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was 4 because 3 was the one with Rude and McIntyre. 4 was the one with Ciampa Gargano. And this match, I would say, is probably even more violent than what we got in Chicago.
Yeah.
Like this time, it's like
agree.
These two are now on the same wavelength. Like they're aggressive. Like Gargano is obsessed with Ciampa. Like Ciampa is just more like, I just want to just defend this title. But he's also like, I'm going to kill this. Like these two were going to kill each other.
Yeah. I just like that package. Like Ciampa and Gargano willing to send each other to the hospital to even feel to feel remotely satisfied.
And, and in the third promo between the two where Ciampa just holds up the title and says, never did you think that the Gargano fairy tale would end like this.
Yeah. I was actually originally going to show that, but I feel like that was more intense and personal.
Like that, like Gargano was just like absolutely like crushed. And like Gargano wants to make, and even Gargano says in the promo, I want to make sure that Ciampa does not walk away the NXT champion. And he's pulling out all the stops. And then you see Gargano like doing like things from the last match, like Gargano hitting the DDT on like the exposed like wooden part of the ring, and then he had Gargano doing like where he did the Ciampa wave before doing a super kick through like tables, and like Ciampa did like this huge knee with the chair,
yeah,
and all of that. Like it was so aggressive and violent, and then finally get to the end of the match where Gargano just snaps, like he smashes like the back of Ciampa's head off the steel. Then he hits a bunch of super kicks and all of that stuff. Like it's, and Ciampa saying, I'm sorry. And then Gargano's like, you're sorry. Like, it's too late for sorries. And like, he goes for the running knee, but then he like hits the knee, but then he accidentally, because the anger and rage blinded him, like Gargano like actually hurt himself. And then Ciampa stood up before the count of 10. Ciampa retains the title, and Gargano is just officially spiraling into madness.
Yeah.
And so while Ciampa's at like the highest, this is Gargano at his lowest. And then you find out that Gargano was the one who attacked Aleister Black, and Gargano is now officially no longer this conquering hero. Like I would even say like he wasn't really a heel. It was, the problem was his just like the way like he was thinking, like the way he thought, it just was kind of messed up.
Yeah.
Like his morals were fucked up. Like he even said in the promo with Aleister Black, he said, I'm the hero at the end of the story.
Yeah. He's basically done what Ciampa's done to Gargano, what Joker tried to do to Batman.
Exactly.
It works in this case, and Gargano snaps and he will do anything to get rid of him.
And so again, like Gargano is like acting more like Ciampa, and Gargano tries to beat Aleister Black, but he can't do it because Gargano, because by this point, Gargano just doesn't know who he is by this point. Meanwhile, Ciampa's at his highest. Like, he just defended the NXT title against Velveteen Dream. He's, like, still at his highest. And then, like, Ciampa is, like, the puppet master at this point, because he knows Gargano at this point is at his most vulnerable. So he's, like, pulling the strings at this point. Like, he's been manipulating Gargano. Like, he could make him do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
As you can tell in that steel cage match. Like, Ciampa's like, hey, let's have the cage match between Black and Gargano. And Gargano's like, do it. And then, like, Ciampa helping Gargano. It's as if, like, Ciampa was trying to mold Gargano into him.
Yeah.
And then you get the stuff with, for the North American title. He still he wanted the NXT, like, Gargano didn't really want the North American title. Let's be fair. Like, he wanted the NXT title. He wanted to beat Ciampa. But Ciampa's like, no. You want the NXT North American title. And Gargano's like, fine. And Gargano faced Ricochet. Ciampa beat Black. And Ciampa and Gargano won. And at the end of that takeover, Gargano stood side by side with Ciampa for the first time, like since NXT TakeOver Chicago in 2017, and they raised their titles up. Like, they were the rulers of NXT at that time. But Gargano was still like, no. As far as Champ is concerned, I still hate that guy. But Champ's like, no, Johnny, listen, we cool now. And Gargano's like, no, leave me alone. I don't need your help. And then Gargano loses the title like a couple weeks afterwards, and even the small glimpse at NXT at the end of NXT TakeOver Phoenix, where they were standing side by side, where Gargano was looking at Ciampa's title. It's as if Gargano didn't want the North American title; he wanted that one.
Yeah.
And then Ciampa's like, listen, you don't have a title. How about let's go for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, and we will rule NXT as the champions. And he's like, Gargano says okay, and you see the DIY of old in his. Said to speak, they got the theme back, they had their attires back, but once again, this was a case of Ciampa manipulating Gargano, and when they failed to win, Ciampa's like, what, he was basically Gargano was an ends to a mean by that point.
Yeah.
So then when he was done using him, he tried to betray Gargano, but Gargano was like, no, I'm too smart for that. And so Gargano ends up, turning on Ciampa like Ciampa did to him.
Yeah.
And
in that, and it felt like it was good payback for Gargano there.
And finally, for the first time, Gargano finally saw this is the Johnny Gargano of old, and he was ready to win the title from Tommaso Ciampa at NXT TakeOver New York in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Except that didn't happen.
Ciampa got injured.
Ciampa got hurt, which then resulted in Ciampa vacating the title, which resulted in Gargano Cole in the 2 out of 3 falls match for the NXT title. And
that was a good match.
It was a very good match. But the most important thing was the end of the show, where Gargano won the title. He finally got what he wanted. He's the NXT champion, and just Ciampa comes up from behind him, and instead of Ciampa attacking Gargano from behind, he embraced him. It's as if, for the first time, Ciampa finally saw the error of his ways, and Ciampa was ready to move on.
Yeah.
But there's one little problem with that.
You can never move on.
Just because, you try to move on and to forgive and forget, and the other person might not be able to do that.
Yeah.
Gargano did not forget. Which, later down the line, they reunited DIY for one night only against Mustache Mountain, and that was a great match. And when Ciampa came back from injury and he won the NXT title, Gargano was, he was doing his own thing with Finn Balor, but then when he saw, and when Gargano said he looked into Ciampa's eyes, and he saw that same look, he hit him in the head with the belt.
Yeah.
It was almost as if Gargano concocted this plan of revenge.
Yeah.
It's as if, you know what, you wanted to screw me over from the very beginning. I'm going to screw you out of what you want.
Exactly.
It's as if the tables have turned now. Gargano, this was Gargano's, like, basically Ciampa's comeuppance in a way. Like, Ciampa got, because for Johnny, he felt like Ciampa got what he deserved.
Yeah.
And that's, again, really good storytelling there.
Exactly.
But this time, Ciampa's the one that's the good guy.
Yeah.
And Gargano's the one who's the villain. And that's, to me, bizarre, because it's like, what if Joker then became the good guy and Batman became the bad guy?
Well, in some people's eyes, Joker was the good guy, trying to restore the heart and soul of Gotham.
Exactly. And you know what? Gargano is actually very understandable as a heel. He had an understandable motivation. Because let's be fair here, Ciampa was the one that started it.
Yeah.
But then yet when Ciampa came back, he was heralded as this hero when all Ciampa did was cause his life to be a living hell.
Yeah.
And then they had that brawl throughout the Performance Center, which that was amazing.
That is, I mean, I could play it for the people who aren't seeing it if you want me to.
See, that one's tough because I do want to end it soon.
All right, that's fair enough.
But you know what? I will link it in the chat. So if you guys want to go and watch it, you guys are more than welcome to do so.
Yeah. Let's just say it was probably one of the best moments of the pandemic era in NXT.
Actually, I think this was actually just a little bit beforehand.
I think it was like it was in the Performance Center, like just before they started to do it. I think it was like it was one before the Smackdown where Triple H announced that they'd be at the Performance Center.
That's pretty much about it. And Ciampa, Triple H is like, you know what, this has gone on long enough.
Yeah.
That's why they said one more match. One more match, and that's it.
Yeah. Anywhere, we'll find you an arena, we'll find you a building, and you can tell you the differences there. And by God, they fucking did.
And again, it's like throwbacks to their previous matches, like the fire extinguisher, the crutch, and just like the personal aspect of it, where like, and even like Gargano just finally just turning into like this despicable scumbag, where he's like, Ciampa's a failure, and saying like you're a failure, you're like a failure as a friend, a husband, and then a father, and then Ciampa snapped and like just destroyed him with a crutch.
Yeah.
And then Ciampa hitting the Willow's bell on the exposed wooden part of the ring, and then Candice LeRae coming in. Which Candice, even though Candice didn't really have a big part to play in the story, she was still an integral part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And once again, the master manipulation by Johnny Gargano, having Candice come out and say, you made me hate my husband because of you, and like just go on and finish it. And then she low blowed, quote unquote, Johnny, and like Ciampa just finally just getting on his knees and just finally apologizing and saying, I'm sorry. Like he basically even acknowledged, I fucked up. Yeah. I'm sorry. Like I'm the one that did this.
Yeah.
And then Candice coming back and just hitting him and like in the with the low blow, and then that Gargano had like a cup, and then then Gargano's like, you lost. And it's as if like that was like, and then him hitting the fairy tale ending on that ring floor and him beating Ciampa was almost symbolic.
Yeah.
It's like he finally conquered the villain, but how much did he lose himself?
Yeah. But what cost?
It's like he finally had, because he had to go down to a place where he should have never, like, it's as if Batman like just beating the Joker, but it's done in a way that makes Batman look like the villain.
Yeah.
And
you always have people out there that'll make Batman look like the villain.
Oh, absolutely. And it's as if and the fact that Champa was willing to apologize, even then, it's it shows regardless in a sick, twisted way. I think Champa always cared for Johnny.
Yeah.
It's no matter what, even though Champa basically beat Johnny to a bloody pulp, he still cared for him.
Yeah.
And it might have been in more of a twisted way, and it may have came off as he was trying to manipulate him, but in reality, Johnny was Champa was connected to Johnny at the hip, regardless.
Yeah, and as long as they both are in WWE, though, whenever you hear the name Champa, you always connect it to Gargano.
And and Champa was trying to forgive and forget, but then Gargano was "No, you fucked up my life. As far as I'm concerned, we're not done." And then Champa just because even then, I don't even think Champa apologized for his actions. Even when Champa tried to forgive and forget, he never apologized.
Yeah.
And so then when he finally went to admit his wrongs, it's as if Johnny. It's basically kind of like what he said in Takeover Brooklyn 4, is that it's too late for sorry, in a way. It's as if the damage was already done.
Yeah.
It's because as much as Champa, because I'd even say this is more so the third act. The first act is them as friends, and then the eventual betrayal, and then the second act is them trying to kill each other, and then this final part was more so Champa trying to right his wrongs. But at the end of the day, there are just some things you can't necessarily forgive and forget.
Yeah.
And it eventually, and then the roles ended up reversing towards the end.
Yeah.
And it also kind of begs the question: who was really the villain and who was really the hero?
Was hero in the first place?
And the answer is, I would even say none of them.
Yeah. Was never really a hero in the first place. It was just your point of view.
Exactly. It's just it's actually really just the way they did it was such a really well done just feud.
Yeah, it's just that long-term storyline writing that we need.
It's just really just well executed and just in depth. It's when you really look at it, it's no one was the hero and no one was the villain.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep referring back to O'Reilly vs. Cole because it's in a similar style. These two, I don't think it'll be up to the levels of Gargano vs. Champa because one, it won't be long term, this feud, from what we're seeing, and two, it's not as personal. You're not seeing it affect the people around them, like family and friends. We saw how it affected Johnny's own wife, for crying out loud.
Exactly.
We just see how it's affected Cole, O'Reilly, Strong, and William Regal. That's it.
It's just the way it was done.
Yeah.
There's so much about it that's great.
Yeah.
And there's so much that they did, and it's just God, it's so good.
Yeah. It's just a shame they can't do that on the main roster, right?
Exactly.
Because if you have it on a platform like Raw or SmackDown, especially Raw, if you have that on that platform, just to that capacity, then, oh my God, wrestling, people would think that Vince has actually fucking cracked the code now. But we all know that there's only two people to thank for this feud, and that is Triple H and William Regal for believing in that these two could perform at the level that they required.
Exactly. But with that being said, though, we went 2 hours and 18 minutes. We're going to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody who came in the chat. I want to thank Nicholas, Zach, Kavari, EJ, Logan, and Jim Cornette for making an appearance. That was awesome. And also thank you, Shadowhunter, for coming in.
It's been fun, man. It definitely didn't feel like it was 2 hours.
No, it was amazing. And also we talked about a bunch of stuff, and it felt great. And I would like to ask, would you like to be a new, basically permanent member on the Good Old Wrasslin panel?
Yes.
Awesome.
I would appreciate it.
So then it officially makes it 3 people on the Good Old Wrasslin panel. Me, you, and Deshaun.
Nice.
So now, Shadow, tell everybody where they can find you at.
You can find me at my YouTube channel, Shadowhunter. I do a lot of random stuff, a wide variety. So if there's something that you enjoy, maybe Marvel, Star Wars, DC, boxing, wrestling, films, if you like any of those, go check my channel out. I do all of them on there. I've been doing Universe Mode. I had Ostator on there recently as the Smackdown General Manager on the B show. But yeah, it's been fun with that. I'm doing the Batman Arkham Knight series on my channel as well every Tuesday and Thursday. I also got some good stuff in the works. Me and Chris have been talking about some dates for the chase. That's going well so far. We're currently on schedule. We'll release a date when we feel like it's necessary to. But besides from that, you can also find me on my Twitter at Shadowhunt419, where I do a lot of random stuff. I also tweet every time I upload. So, Ostator, thanks for having me. Great show. I can't wait for next week.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Next time.
So I'm thinking about moving Good Old Wrasslin to Mondays, so it'll probably now be every Monday at 4.
Okay.
So, and then Sundays will be Shadow Eye at 3. I'll do something about Power Rangers, I think. Friday will just be a live discussion. Saturday's Splash Talk, and tomorrow will be Osnator and Friends Talk Pop Culture. So I hope you guys go check that out, and you can find me on other channels like The Real View 3000 on Sundays for the weekly wrap-up, and then you can find me later on Comic Chat, aka Danny Graham's channel, for the Falcon Winter Soldier Roundtable. Mondays, you can find me on JJ, aka Sith Lord 3827's channel for randomness at its finest. You can find me on Tuesdays on 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser for where we talk about Invincible. You can find me on Shadowhunter's channel for Universe Mode as a SmackDown General Manager, aka the A Show. He has the F Show, Raw.
No, I have the A Show. We proved that last blood.
You know what? We're gonna have to agree to disagree.
Yeah, well, we've got a Survivor Series to prove that, aren't we?
Indeed. And you can also find me on Ninja243's channel, Sauerkraut's channel, Zach Axiola's channels, basically everybody's channels, sometimes Big Board Entertainment's channel. And yeah, and I got Twitter at the Osnator17. So if you ever want to get updated when I stream, please go follow me there. And yeah, that about does it, everybody. This is the Osnator. This great episode of Good Old Wrasslin. As we will see you next week. On Monday, we will be reviewing Wrestlemania and NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. And we might talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And you know what? Also for that episode, we will be talking about Peacock and how the WWE Network is actually being handled on Peacock.
Oh. That's going to be fun.
It's going to be interesting. So thank you guys for watching. This is the Osnator and Shadowhunter signing out.
See you.
See you later, guys.
Your Highness, I'm sure it's not that noticeable.